as I said, I really expected a small gathering of 3 or 4 people. But since all of you had the misfortune to come here, welcome. Now, I have brief talk, I hope it's going to be brief, is about the idea of the nation. What is a nation, you see? In my view, this idea of a nation was implanted to us by the foreign powers that occupied our island. So I am much more interested in what I call local ideas in Sri Lanka, what is sometimes called Vitti. Vitti are books of events, and also there's what you call Kadaim, boundary books of the nation. These are very, very important texts which have been written by ordinary Sinhala people, not, you see, not classical writing in the Mahavansa, not that I have any objection to the Mahavansa, but the fact is, these texts were written Vitti by people like you, but not like me because I'm not that very educated. So, these Vitti and Kadaim are, I think, of extreme interest and importance because they were written by ordinary people. Now I think I have lost my text. One of the kind of Vitti that I'm talking about are called Bandaravaliyas. Bandaravaliyas were texts written about aristocratic people in the Caribbean kingdom. Once again, I must emphasize that reading these texts has been an experience for me because, as I tell people, I'm learning something new every day. I use that phrase to tell younger students, look, this is what you should do. You should be learning something new every day. When after I retired from Princeton, and I went into the School of Venezuela region, and that is where I was learning so much new things. Walking in that area, talking to people, those who are writing and who are doing work in that area, toil ceremonies. I witnessed till I am bored, sick with toil ceremonies. I have seen so many of them. But the point about that is, and I have told young students, you see, to move out of what they are doing now and go to the areas where you can learn something new every day. Now, in this brief talk, I want to now mention a little bit of the texts that are called Bandaravaliyas, you see. And one text is a very interesting text. It is called Malala Vitti. I'm sure people are not all that familiar with it. Malala Vitti is Vitti, of course, everyone knows. Malala is people who come from Malala Deshe, like our friend Malala Sekere. He's not here outside. Anyhow, Malala Vitti, which is the text that I want to refer to you, is about a prince called Prince Malla, who received from the great king Devanampiyatis an area of land in the Rajarata or Pihitirata. What I'm trying to say, this is a fiction that is true. You see, that is a story, like many stories that we learn. They are fiction, storytelling, but they are also true. they have a symbolic truth, you see. And that symbolic truth is, of course, as important as the literal truth. Now, the Malayalas came from India. They were Tamils, of course. They came from the Tamil Nadu, you see. And according to some of the texts that I have, they came at the time of King Dutugamanu. Don't take this literally true, you see. And Dutugamanu, according to these texts, destroyed the Tamil forts and killed 1,034,000 Tamils owing to the power of his determination and that of the triple gem, and became ruler of Sri Lanka. The most unusual Buddhist king, I would say. After a lapse of time, the great king Bhuvanatbahu, that's a very common name in Sri Lankan history, became ruler of Sri Lanka according to these texts that we have now understood. He came from Jambudvipa, that is India, along with other Maravara kings, and fully equipped armies and defeated the Malala king. Then came several Malala princes, took refuge in the Bodhimandala Vihara. Now you see, you are getting news about Bodhimandala Vihara, of course, which is a very important idea, the temple within the unblemished area of the sacred Bodhi tree. But these are Tamil people. And two of these, according to the text that we have, became monks. They conferred among themselves and realized that they could no longer pay tribute to the Maravaras and decided to go to the Sinhala country because their ancestor or Mutta has been part of the retinue that accompanied the Bodhi tree in ancient times. So you have a very interesting text where, according to these popular ideas, Tamil people came, you see, and to this area because they believe that this is a part of the Bodhi Mandala. Now, we are then given in this very interesting piece of information, namely that the ship or ships in which these people, these Tamil people arrived, had other people also belonging to the Hettikula, merchant caste, Brahman Kula, Brahmin caste, all become part of the classic Indian Varna scheme. In Sri Lankan thought, until very recent times, I will mention these recent times, this Indian Varna scheme was reclassified as Raja, kings, Bamanu, Brahmins, Hettik, merchants, and Goigama. By the farmers, of course. By the time of the Kotte and the Kandy period, the Goi were the dominant caste, and the Hetti and Bamanu were already absorbed or being close to being absorbed by the Goigam. The text that we have now mentions a storm at sea in which the Rajakula of the princes separated from the Hetti and the Brahmins. The ship of the princes landed in Pomparipur in the northern coast, where they met the Vadyas and their chief Paniki. So now we have probably my favorite group, the Veda people. I'm not talking just ordinary Vedas, the real Vedas. Ordinary Vedas, you have to just go down to the political place. The text now gives us a great detail of these service castes. Our conventional assumption in dealing with any kind of narrative is to consider it as a totality. When I first began to interpret the Malala Vitti, this text, and related texts, I simply assumed that the section on the Malalas and that of the Vedas, most mentions the Vedas of Kurunagala, constitute an overarching unity and must not tamper with that unity. Now, also in my early interpretation, there was a king called Bhuvanakabahu mentioned in the Veda text of my argument. But I soon found clear evidence that Veera Prakrama mentioned in the Veda text was Prakramabahu, the second of Dhanadanya, and that Bhuvanakabahu was his brother. Thus we had to confront the reality that the section on the Malala's princess was another Bhuvanakabahu who received his visitors at Kotte, his capital. The Malala Vitti that we are talking about now hasn't the kind of unity of a conventional story with a beginning, middle and end. Even a popular tale like a sister historical account such as the Rajavali doesn't have that kind of unity. What unifies the two parts of the text is not a storyline, but a cultural association. In this case, the origin myth of the Bodhi and its centrality to the Malala narrative, and less so in the Veda ancestral myth. In my argument, one group denies their Tamilness by reconstructing a Buddha past, the Bodhi tree under the Buddha his enlightenment. The past that unfortunately I cannot deal with here. Now consider the Malala story in the narrative. The Malala princes who come from South India are not unique in making a connection with the Bodhi tree. The claim to be descendants of those who came to Sri Lanka with the Bodhi tree has been made by many prominent persons, including one of my favorite kings, Prakramabahu VI. None of these claims could be taken as empirical history, but rather as what I call charter myths. That is, that stories that connect powerful families with a key event in Buddhist history. The same claim was made by one of the most popular chiefly families, the Mehenavaras, who were also originally Keralites and resided in Gampala in the mid-14th century. You see, the point I'm trying to draw is that people come from different parts, you see, and they settle down here and they become eventually good old singers, also good old singers. The other powerful family were the Alagakonnaras or Alakeshwaras, who controlled Raigama and the trade in the seaport of Veruvala. One of them, according to an inscription of 1344, was the 10th in line of a powerful family in Vanchi in Kerala. Again, the interconnections between these places. Another, Nissanka Alagokannara, also from Gampala, was a more important person than the reigning monarch, Vikramabahu III, who was from 1357 to 1374, and it was he who built the fortress of Kotte, the subsequent capital of our kings. The first king of Kotte, Bhuvanakabahu V, also had Kerala ancestries, being a member of the Alakeshwar family. It is therefore virtually certain that our texts refer to Kerala or Malala chiefs who migrated to Sri Lanka, as did many other people, many kingly families resident in Gampala and Kotte. We must be very careful and consider the interplay of people coming from South India up here being, so to speak, if you want to use that term, single sides. Let us now look at the fate of the Malala princes after they crossed the ocean, probably to Cork Straits. There they are met by a Vata chief of Eriyava in the northern area, escorted to Bhuvanakabahu of Kotte. Eriyava is in the Putlam district, and the Vatas were proficient in both Sinhala and Tamil and could act as interpreters. Again, bringing the importance of Veda people, a group that has been neglected in Orthodox histories. Eriyave Veda is often referred to as a minister or nobleman, and he was probably deified at death to become a deity worshipped in a vast area of this region, as Panikivata. If we take some of the historical references in the Malala text, we might be in a further quandary. For example, the Malala Vitti says this about two Malala princes who became monks. I quote, the two elders, Buddhamitra and Saranankara, who got ordination from the Bodhimala Vihara and came to Sri Lanka wearing silken double robes, received Vedagama and Tatagama respectively, and became known as Mahaveda Vedagamatera and Mahatatagammatera. See, once again, the Indian Sri Lankan connection. The most famous of the monks from these two monasteries were Vedagama Maitreya and Sri Rahula, who lived in the time of Prakambhav VI, 1411 to 1460. And Vedagama at least was a powerful kingmaker, helping Prakambhav VI to become king, as the Rajavalya tells us. That these two famous monks, or their ancestors who carried the same name, came from southern India. The Vitti that I am talking about are in general anonymous and lacking titles. The titles are inserted by the repositories of Vitti, such as archives, monastic libraries, museums, and universities. In general, the name of the copyist is given, and most Vitti are continually copied and recopied, and in some instances, the name of the copyist and the year of the text is also included. Given the preceding account, it seems to me that we cannot understand the myths of migration, the stories of migration, without reference to the new kingdoms that are beginning to emerge in the 13th and 14th centuries. Ecological conditions of the time inhibited the development of large hydraulic streams of the older kingdoms in the Rajarata. We have a good economic reasons for welcoming migrants. That is mostly. Selectively, of course, not only to bring these regions under rice cultivation, but also bringing artisans, merchants, and other kinds of specialists. Hence the importance of what I call colonization stories or colonization myths. We have thousands of South Indian settlers who are placed in different parts of the Kotte and Kandy kingdoms. Needless to say, they eventually became labeled as civilians. These immigrants could not be haphazardly transplanted, but had to be organized and brought in conjunction with the workings of the single state. Chiefs were absolutely indispensable for this process. These people had important functions chiefs had important functions pertaining to the operations of Rajakarya, or royal duties, which everyone had to perform, and what I call a privileged right of citizenship. In addition to ensuring the workings of Rajakarya, a special duty during this period was the levying of troops. Our Bandaravaliyas show how Vetta hunters were brought under the rule of the reigning sovereign and labeled as Bandaras. They had now aristocratic Vettas who were called Bandaras. Additionally, Vetta groups continued their traditional role as elephant trackers and tamers, while some Vettas became farmers and others were employed in guarding the frontiers. Now, while most migrants became farmers, there were many artisan groups and religious specialists such as Andis and Pantarans from Tamil-speaking areas of South India settled down in Sri Lanka. And of course, many Brahmins. There are also local Rajas and semi-independent chiefs such as the Vandiyas, owing allegiance to the kings of Kandy and Kotte, the eastern Vandiyas to Kandy, and the Vedas of Navarkalari, a large area in the northwestern part. Here's my concluding postscript. In conclusion, I want to make a few important qualifications. First, our migrants have brought with them their religious ideologies, but these beliefs, like the migrants themselves, have been Buddhicized, and the originally foreign gods have been treated as bodhisattvas in Sinhala ideation. This larger issue of the cultural significance of South Indian migrations cannot be judged here. I am writing about this, and you had the misfortune to read some of my later work, please do so. Second, my paper misses an important dimension of both similar and different processes of incorporation of Sinhala peoples in the Tamil areas of the north and the east, where erstwhile Sinhala communities have become Tamilized. That research is outside of my competence. But to give you a simple example, the Tamils of the Batticaloa district, as well as their Muslim neighbors, are loosely organized in terms of matrilineal clans known as Kudi or Kuti. There are many such Kutis, one of them being Sinhala Kuti, or the Sinhala clan. It seems to me obvious that here is an example of Sinhala incorporated into the larger clan structure of the Tamils of the East Coast. Similar processes would have occurred in the north, but our information in both these areas is meager and sparse and must await the work of Tamil scholars. Third and most important, the reader should bear in mind that my work deliberately confines itself to the period before the fall of the Kandyan kingdom in 1815. The era of colonialism produced a whole new chapter in our history, and my paper does not concern these. In the colonial and the post-colonial period, the issues of ethnicity and cultural identity take on new dimensions, particularly with the modern European notions of nationalism that took root on all colonized nations. That notion of European notion of nationalism, in my other papers I pointed out, is a very European notion, not an indigenous notion. Consequently, issues of ethnic and national identity have now taken an entirely new significance. In today's world, it would be impossible to implement or even justify the processes whereby outsiders and migrants have been peaceably incorporated as part of the larger social, political, and economic and symbolic order in our nation. Today, ethnic identity and integrity and the passions associated with them have come to stay, and new models of incorporating minorities have to be evolved to meet the more complex political and nationalistic issues that are endemic to our nation and to our times. Thank you.